I am 33 weeks pregnant,
Wow.
32 weeks pregnant today.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much. This is the perfect way to bless the bump before we get into that final stretch. But
it's a good segue into, it's almost a good segue, because it's like before you get to having the baby,
you got to choose who you're going to do it with.
You got to figure out who you're going to have it with. And that takes us to our question for today, from a young woman named Alice, who's 30 years old and is trying to figure out this whole mothering thing.
Hi, Michelle. My name is Alice. I'm 30 years old and I've been in a relationship for about 6 years. I desperately want to have children and I know that I want to be a mom. However, my boyfriend doesn't feel ready and doesn't think he will ever want kids, but he's not totally sure. We're very much in love and do see a future together, but I just can't imagine a life without children. And I feel like I need to know soon whether or not that's in the cards for us so I can move on if I need to. So my question is, have you ever seen a man change his mind about wanting kids in his 30s? And if so, what prompted it? And if we do decide to break up and I re-enter the dating scene, what important questions should I be asking potential suitors to avoid spending another 6 years in a relationship where our visions are not aligned? Thank you.
Woo. So, yeah, this speaks to you, doesn't it?
It speaks to 25-year-old me. It does. Ooh.
Really? So these were, and I get these kind of questions from my young staff, my mentees, at that age. And a lot of women are struggling with the finding a mate, finding a good mate, dealing with the biological time clock, thinking about freezing eggs, it feels more fraught than it maybe even was for me when I was that age. But I want to hear a bit of your journey around this question.
So I've never told anyone this, Mrs. Obama, but I'm going to tell you this because it applies to this person's situation. When I was 25, I happened to be dating. Don't judge me, Mrs. Obama.
Okay, let's hear it.
Okay, you promise?
I don't know. I can't promise. Right? No, it's a safe space. It's a space.
You have two daughters. I'm sure they brought you some stuff.
Oh, please.
And you've had to keep the.
And some things I've had to say. Don't tell your father that. Okay, just keep that between us.
Let's just say this is one of those things.
Okay,
this was one of those things. So when I was 25, I found myself in love with a 50-year-old man.
Okay. All right.
And this 50-year-old man already had children. And at the time, I really wasn't thinking about children.
Yeah.
And we were having a great time. Really wasn't worried about the future. But the deeper we got into the relationship, it came up that he didn't want to have children.
Yeah. How long were you dating before you?
It came up pretty early on, I would say. And when he said he didn't want to have kids, I kind of heard what she heard, which is like, well, maybe there's still a chance, right? I think when we're young, we think that we can maybe change people. We think that maybe we could inspire a change, right? Like
That's right.
Love conquers all and love. But, there are some practicalities in life that you do have to consider. And one of the most important things that my mom has ever told me, that Maya Angelou has said, is that when somebody shows you who they are, or in this case, tells you who they are, believe them the first time.
That's right.
And this applies in this situation. If this man has said to you, I love you, but I don't want to have kids. And if you know deep down that that is something you really, really want, you have
got to know that and keep it moving.
You got to, unfortunately, you might have to wrap things up.
How long were you in the relationship before you kind of thought?
A year.
Okay, well, see, that's, truthfully, at 25 or 30, young women are still figuring themselves out, and just to cut you a little bit of slack at 25.
Please.
you were a baby, and you were still figuring out who you were. And in our 20s, we are more malleable. We're more open to possibilities. And you're with an older man who makes you feel mature and you feel secure in it. I mean, my question is not to you at 25, but it's to him at 50.
I have the same question now. Looking back as a 37-year-old woman, I have the same question now.
Right. Now, I mean, because first of all, it's like a 50-year-old man is dating a child. And that may feel fun and easy, right? And in so many ways. But my question to him is, why are you wasting her time? And you don't want to have kids, So some of the burden is on the guy. He's already been married, has had his kids, So it takes two. And at 25, you learned an important lesson.
I want to tell Alice that sometimes the prayers that go unanswered are the ones you will be the most grateful for down the line. Because I will tell you now, looking back, thank you, Jesus, that I did not end up going down that path and hoping that this man would change his mind. And, God forbid he did. One of the things he would say, and I got to give him credit, he did say, I do not want you to look up in your 30s and go, I gave the best years of my life
right?
to this guy who when we don't want the same things going into the future. And he said, he would say, having kids is a young man's game. And at 25, I didn't get that. At 37, going on 2 kids with an energetic young man who is my age, who can keep up with me. Oh, I get it now.
That's right.
It is something that you have to have the conviction. And I think that, in relationships, yes, you have to make compromises. And yes, you'll hear that a lot from married couples. But there are some things you do not compromise on. And kids is one of them. If you do not have the conviction, if you don't really, really desire that, you are better off not wasting another person's time and entering into that lifelong partnership. Because if you can't support her fully in motherhood, leave her alone.